Hey everybody, what's going on? Josh Wigler here alongside Chappell to tell you all about the greatest TV show to arrive on July 11th, 2024. There can only be one. It is The Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. Chappell, raw!
Josh, this is incredible.
Uh-huh.
This is incredible. I don't know why it took so long for this thing to happen. This is so exciting. I'm ready. I've been tapped in since the preseason. I looked over the bios of the contestants.
Yeah.
I knew I was tapped in on all of it. 3 million calories, 200 pounds, 150 days, one champion.
Yeah.
This is Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. I'm ready.
We are ready. Are you all ready?
They ain't ready.
Are you all prepared?
They're not prepared.
Are
they
you
don't
out
get it.
there listening prepared for because we'll put you through the big system if at the end of this podcast, and if you don't pass, peace out. You're not going any further in the Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. 3 episodes, all on Peacock, streaming right now, and you have such a great show to look forward to if you have not yet watched The Hungry Games. It's all on Peacock. Someone I said this week earlier on Twitter, Chappell, I said, how am I supposed to focus on anything this week when The Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge is coming out? All 3 episodes. And someone said, only 3 episodes? To whom I say, like, okay, 2 things. 1, I could probably watch 30 episodes of this show and not get bored. But also, like, these 3 episodes, magical TV, unbelievable TV, all available, all right now. What we're here to do on this podcast is sell you on The Hungry Games. I think initially when we both started talking about, like, we're going to do The Hungry Games, we're like, oh, man, okay, someone's got to do it. And then we watched it, and now it's not about telling you about The Hunger Games. I need to sell you on The Hunger Games so that there's a season 2 of The Hunger Games. The whole first season is available. You could watch it on Peacock. We'll tell you about it here in the first portion of the podcast. And then for everyone who goes and consumes all 3 million calories of the Hungry Bear that currently exists, we'll get into spoiler detail. And like also if like there's some people like, I'm not going to watch that show, you'll be able to listen in on this. But Chappell, I think you and I are all in on the Hungry Games.
Oh yeah. No, this is everything to me. I'm ready to start, the hungrygamesucks.com, so that we can really start get the conversation going. I just feel like Reddit is going to be exploding with this information from this show. Everybody's going to be talking about it, and we're at the front of the pack. Jacob Jones is in the chat, y'all. Everybody is tuning in for our coverage of the Hungry Games, y'all.
We love this.
Is crazy.
How many people do you think at this point, we're recording this, it's 10:18 a.m. on the Eastern Seaboard here, and the Hunger Games has been available for probably like 7 hours. How many other people do you think have finished the Hunger Games at this point?
Well, it's so bingeable. So a few million people probably already checked this out. A few bears as well. Yeah. Other woodland creatures have been tuning in. They had live upfront seating for some of these challenges as well. Yeah. So I don't know. This is the must-see TV event of the century as far as I'm concerned.
Is this the best bear show on TV right now?
Yeah, I mean, not to throw another bear show under the bus, but I heard that 3rd season kind of mid, and this was far from it. And I'd have to say, put these bears up against those bears any day, and I'm picking these every time.
Big Boy versus Carmy, the showdown of the century.
Ooh, man, imagine Boldface coming across Richie. Like, I just don't even think Richie would stand a chance. know.
So we got to tell you what it is. How would you describe the Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge? For people who don't know what this is,
this is tough to describe
because it's transcendent. It's hard to how do you quantify something as transcendent as this show?
Words really can't describe what we just watched. You can't put these bears into a box, but I'm going to try my best. This is the challenge of a lifetime, the challenge of all challenges, the world's first survivor competition. This is where bears have to fight it out to find out who will be the biggest, the bulkiest, the grittiest, and the most ingenious.
Yeah.
Bear of all time. They have a whole summer and season to prepare for winter. It's coming. You might not have known this, Josh, but winter is coming, and these bears
is here. Yeah,
they have to get ready for winter, and so we're gonna track these bears, their bulkiness, their ingenuity, and their grittiness to find out which one is the ultimate bear survivor. Which one can gain the most pounds, consume the most calories, and show the most grit. I'm sorry. Why is this just now happening? Why did it take so long? These bears have been doing this for the beginning of time.
You know, like huge props to Peacock for of all of the streamers. Like, okay, Alone, that's a frightening show, right? Yeah. Like Alone is legit. Like, okay, we go from like Eco Challenge to Survivor to like Naked and Afraid to Alone to the Hunger Games. Like doing this with animals, doing this with bears feels like a very logical next step. And of all the streamers, we live in the streaming era, and it's Peacock who's like, you know what? Screw you, Nat Geo. Screw you, Animal Planet. Screw you, Max. Yeah, you hate Max.
Hate that.
We're gonna get to Alaska first, and they send out these incredible nature doc teams. I'm sure we never get to meet any of them.
No,
we don't break the fourth wall with these guys to go out there, film these bears, and convert it into a reality show where they are competing. The prize is not money, Chappell.
No.
The prize is glory.
Bragging rights, being able to say that I'm the ultimate bear competitor. I prepared for these pitfalls, these competitions, these challenges, and I'm the bear that stands on top of the hill, the king of the hill in a lot of ways. This is the bear show that's going to separate all the cubs from the bears every time. This feels like, and I know you probably can't relate, but I feels like if you got really, really high and just started watching National Geographic and just started narrating what you thought was going on
idea
with no insight. With no insight. Like I've never done this either, but I've seen YouTube videos of people kind of like putting their own commentary over seemingly inanimate or like voiceless like subjects and just deciding what's going on. This feels like that, and turning it into a competition in your head and just saying, here you go. And that's essentially what we have here. It's all fun and games, but it's actually a gritty competition amongst the fiercest competitors in the wild. And
I've never existed. The Bear Nation.
Bear Nation, stand up.
I do think that there's like a depending on when you watch this show and how you watch this show, I'm sure your experience of it may vary. Like if you just like watch it in the middle of the day, like at work passively, like maybe you're not going to be as into it. But like if it's the dead of night and like you're sitting down for 3 50-minute installments of the Hunger Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge, and we're heading into a weekend, depending on when you're listening to this, maybe you're already there. This may be your ticket. So they don't vote each other out. They do fight each other sometimes, though a lot of the violence is off screen, I would say. There are some casualties in the Big Bear Challenge. We do lose... it makes medevacs look tame, Chappell. There are some bears that are lost along the way. But this happens off screen. So if you're like worried about that, you're gonna be, you're not gonna have to like watch anything like so savage. But by and large, what you're gonna do, you're gonna watch like bears like be really clever. You're gonna watch bears be very brave. You're gonna watch bears like eat a lot of stuff. Grass, beached whales,
ton of fish,
so much fish, an insane amount of fish. You're going to see resilience, or as it is referred to in the scoring system, grit. You're going to see a lot of grit, and you're going to see it from bear contestants such as Rizzo.
Yes. Queen,
Denali,
mother. Yes.
Blondie, Big Boy, Blonde Ear.
Boo!
Blondie.
Boo, blonde ears. Boo, blonde ears. Tomato. We hate blonde ears.
Quad Mom.
Queen. Mom.
Quad Mom.
No. What's the opposite? When you have two children, are you still quad mom?
I don't know. Yeah, dual mom doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way.
Yeah.
Did we say Boldface?
You better say Boldface. Let's not be disrespectful.
Boldface.
Yeah.
You're gonna see Raccoon.
Yes, big boy, raccoons.
Like NPCs who are not actual players in the game. You're gonna see Cubs who are supporting the contestants. You're gonna see Ninja Turtles.
You are. It's 4 of them and then 2 of them. Young Buck might show up even. There's a lot.
You're gonna see, I believe it's Dudley, who you're gonna meet Dudley ever so briefly, but huge shouts to Dudley. And then you're gonna see my guy Casanova as well. You're gonna see my guy Casanova.
Problematic fave.
Problematic fave for me.
Fave.
We're gonna cancel Casanova, but for
Got
me,
to.
I'd say let Casanova live. And you're gonna meet all of these bears, and they are all going to be introduced to you by our narrator, our Kiwi narrator, Rhys Darby, of Flight of the Conchords. He is our Flag Means Death. So many different things is our narrator. And I have to imagine that like Rhys Darby was like the world's first Big Bear Challenge fan. And like, can you imagine a better job on earth than narrating the Big Bear Challenge?
No, I literally could not. I actually could not think of anything better than this, because Rhys gets the privilege of watching this bear footage and saying, okay, let me just come up with a narrative to fit each of these bears. Let me label each of them. Say, all right, this one is Boldface. Boldface has a couple kids. Let's see how Boldface navigates that, and then walk us through it in ways only Rhys can. So where we're very entertained, but we also understand the magnitude of the competition, because the stakes could not be higher, Josh. They are playing for their lives.
Yeah, it's survival. It's survival of the fittest, and it's incredible. So there's no voting out. There's the way that it works is there's like the bears aren't voting each other out, which would be maybe like the next innovation if we were able to like figure out a way to do that.
Maybe for All Stars.
Maybe for All Stars. The way that we determine how people continue through the Hungry Games, the big Alaska's Big Bear Challenge, is through the big system. That's BIG, the big score system. Every bear is graded on a scale from 0 to 100. There are 100 points up for grabs over the course of it's like 100. It's like 180 days or something like that. They're competing for like half a year. They're trying to get to hibernation. We're getting into like hibernation season, and that's when this is all taking place up in Alaska.
Yes, hibernation, stand up. I hear y'all out there. Hibernation. Yes, make some noise. Hibernation.
Yes, hibernation hive. Yeah.
Yeah.
The big score stands for the 3 different things that they are graded on. Thing 1 is beefiness. You are being judged on beefiness, which is how many calories are you consuming for bulking up for the winter. So like a huge part of the Hungry Games, it's in the title, Chappell. They have to get big. They gotta think big. Like they gotta like
think big. Think big.
Think big. One little voice.
One little voice is think big.
Ooh, yeah. One little voice is think. You gotta think big. So you gotta get big. You got to get big. You got to get in that like Doug Funny white tuxedo, that oversized tux, and you got to beef up, Chappell. They need 3 million calories is what I remember. Is that right? 3 million calories?
It's a lot of calories. Yeah, 3 million calories, and you can get up to 50 points in the beefiness category. And so every stage, they're going to be judged on exactly how they consume this food, what foods they choose. They're going to be tempted with a lot of options here, different types of grass, different types of fish. And then at different stages, the fish get scarce, y'all. The grass starts to die, and then these bears really have to step it up. And so the first round or two, it's kind of easy to find food, but by round 3, we're really going to see which bear is going to be the beefiest, and what it takes to get there. You know, what kind of obstacles are they going to have to overcome to really be the beefiest bear in the bunch?
Which brings us to the second 2 portions of the big score. There's 25 points up for grabs for ingenuity. So what's your game plan, bear? How you gonna get big, bear? What you gonna do? The salmon is thinning out, or there's too much competition around the salmon. Or big boy is reigning supreme over that beached whale, and you got to get around big boy if you're going to get a piece of that whale. How you going to do it? Ingenuity. What's the game plan for gaining and keeping these crucial calories? Is 25 points awarded for this?
Yeah, these bears are going to have to be very creative. There's a lot of obstacles. As you said, there are other bears, big bears that have been around for a long time who have this game locked up. They already know they're like the all-stars of this game. They're the seasoned veterans, right? And it's going to be really tough for a lot of these younger bears and these up-and-coming bears to really navigate, you know, what it looks like to prepare for hibernation while dealing with such stiff competition. I'm dying to talk about exactly what ingenuity means in the span of this game. And ingenuity might be the one thing that separates these bears apart.
That's right. Because I would say most of them, though perhaps not all of them, I think do like pretty well in this next category, which is grit, bravery, the bravery that is required to survive the Alaskan wilds, surrounded by so many other fierce bear competitors. How much grit do you got? How tough are you? What are you willing to do to get those calories? It's not about how clever you are. It's about how sturdy you are, how steady you are, how uncraven you are. You need to stand your ground. You need to face the obstacles head on. How much grit do you have? And one of the great things is it's not just that these bears accumulate points. It's that the bears lose points along the way. And so sometimes like a bear is going to be like, arr. And then the other bear is going to be like, arr. And then the bear that goes, arr, is like the bear goes, oh. And the bear is going to turn around and walk. And Reese Darby's basically be like, oh, that little bear didn't have it. He didn't quite have what it takes. -2 grit. And so you lose grit. You lose beefiness if you're not eating enough. So it's not just about gaining the points, Chappell. It's about protecting the plate. You don't want to lose points, I think, is a big part of the strategy here on the Hungry Games Alaska's Big Bear Challenge.
These judges take their job very seriously, and they're going to take a very close look at what these bears do to climb the rankings here to become the Big Bear Challenge winner, the champion of the Big Bears. And so, they got to have grit. They have to have ganas. They have to have the will and the desire to win this thing. There are going to be obstacles that come up, whether it's, you know, competing seagulls, whether it's a rushing river when the tide comes in, the salmon are dying. But which bear just has the guts to stick it out and become the greatest bear of all time? These judges are going to help us decide, but they're going to take a close look at the tape and make sure that each bear is giving it their all. And if they're not, they will get some deductions.
Points away. There's like I think like that's one of the components that I really enjoyed the most is like, okay, well, we love these bears, like, you know, this is great, but like that bear is being a coward, so we got to take grit away. Like it's objectively just fact. So some of your favorites, because heading into the Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge, like you said, Chappell, you read the bios. These bios exist. They are not, I should say, comprehensive. Like I thought that there was going to be like, okay, so there's like 9 bears coming into this. Like there's a bunch of bears. like a bunch of bears, like a lot of bears, like some random bears that just like show up. So like there's Bernie, there's Big Boy, there's Boldface, there's Casanova, there's Denali, there's Quad Bomb, there's Redback, there's Rizzo, there's Scarface, but there's more than just the bears that have been making the rounds on social media. So lots of bears, tons of contestants, tons of opportunities to make and meet new favorites. And some of your favorites are not going to go as far as you want them to go. It's just like any other reality show where you have your preseason favorites and they just, it doesn't quite work out. The first one out interview on this would have been really interesting, I think.
I would love to talk to some of the contestants of this show and to really just get tapped in on, like, you know, where things went wrong. Because there's a few that it just feels like they didn't stand a chance once the game got going. Preseason, we didn't really know about some of these quieter people. Maybe that was by production design. They were trying to hide some of the no names, the red shirts. Shout out to Stomper out there, wherever you are.
Yeah, of course.
Or went out for Stomper. He wasn't able to make it very far, but you know, he made his presence known in the little bit of time that he had on the show. And I have a few questions for Stomper, so maybe we'll get those extra interviews later on.
Yeah, I would love to see if I did actually, without spoiling it, I did have a sit down deep dive, an hour-long deep dive with the winner of the Hungry Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. I'm hopeful that we will be able to bring that to RHAP at some point. It is currently out of my hands. It's being reviewed right now. So we are not currently, we've not yet received approval to release our winner interview, but hopefully soon we'll be able to bring that to everybody. So that's the like the overview. If you're not sold by our enthusiasm, by the description of the Big Bear Challenge, then I don't know what to tell you. That's tough because that means you're devoid of joy and grit, frankly. And grit. So recommendation, strong rec is to go to Peacock, watch the show. This podcast not sponsored by Peacock, not brought to you by anyone other than me and Chappell. Be like, someone's got to cover it, okay? And then we watch it. It's like, whoa, okay, Big Bear Challenge. All right. And they do say inaugural Big Bear Challenge. So
season 1.
Within the season, there is hope for season 2. And like within the season, repeatedly, they're like, oh, better luck next year. And they're like, oh, wait, so my fan favorite could return? Very excited about that prospect. Could be great.
There are a few that we know are going to be returning for a season just because they made such a good showing in this season. Shout out to Rizzo, wherever you are. You know what you did, girl, and you did that thing, you know. And so very excited to see some of the returnees, but I'm also excited to see what new bears we might get in future season as well, because although we're going to get all-stars, we don't know if it's going to be completely all-stars. It might be fans versus favorites. It might be some type of, you know, like coaches season where maybe we have Denali as the head of like one of the tribes. Exactly. Yep. So I think there's a lot of options here for the Alaskan Big Bear Challenge. The problem is, I think we can only do this once a year, and so you know, so we're gonna wait a whole calendar year for this. Yeah,
maybe they could film 2 seasons concurrently and like release more
back to back.
Yeah. I think is possible. It would be great if we lived in the world where we could have 2 Big Bear Challenges a year, but the production reality is like they really got like 1 season that they can film at a time. And also maybe some of like those little cubs, maybe some of those young bears are going to be qualifying to be big bears.
My God.
You know, we could have like a blood versus water situation.
My God.
In the future of the Big Bear Challenge.
If I ever have to see Raccoon and Boldface on the same season playing head to head, that would be amazing.
It'd be incredible. Okay, so that's like the spoiler-free overview. If you're gonna watch it and you don't want to be spoiled, I would tune out now. If you have already watched it and you want to go deep, you want to go long on the Hungry Games, stick around. And also, if you have no interest in watching the show, but you just want to hear what happens on the Hunger Games, the Big Bear, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge, stick around because we'll tell you. So let's talk about it. Chappell. Where do you want to begin? Because this is a dramatic season of television. Highs and lows. off-screen deaths.
Yeah.
Some contestants that just quiet quit. like
they bowed out.
Like my guy Bernie, who's just like, nah, I'll just go do whatever I want to do over here.
I really want to talk about Bernie. Bernie was an early standout of the season. I think
you said fan favorite,
right?
Bernie is what they were saying.
Fan favorite, racking up ingenuity points very early in. Had some good ideas as far as like hunting. I believe Bernie was like our leader going into stage 1 finale. And so I mean, he starts it off pretty early on, but by the time stage 1 ends, he's fallen to second place. And then when stage 2 starts, Bernie goes on hiatus. Bernie's he does missing. A GC and he just takes off.
Yeah, so Bernie's just like nowhere to be found. And Reese Darby's like, where's Bernie? Oh, man, I hope Bernie's okay. And then like we check in on the other bears and then we get like back to like the where's Bernie watch. And Reese Darby's like, still can't find Bernie. Bernie's gone. Bernie just dipped. And we go and check in with other bears. And then we check back in with Bernie, who's like an old bear, right? Like he's an old Bernie the bear. And old Bernie the bear has just like effed off to go seduce younger bears in another part of Alaska. And he's not focusing on eating. He's just like trying to get down.
Yeah, Bernie's a seasoned 15-year-old bear. And a lot of these young bears are walking around here and they look really good to Bernie. Yeah. Bernie, who was an early fan favorite, does get a little creepy toward some of the bears. Like they're not, the young bears are not feeling his old man swag. And so eventually Bernie just taps out. Again, such a fall from grace from our second placer into stage 2, basically taking the complete day off of stage 2, the entire stage to come back for stage 3 and just not have enough points at the end of that one to make it through. Fan favorite going from roughly 70 something points to 24 points.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. That like out of 100, he like real fall from grace. So Bernie dips out, and Bernie we don't have to worry about. Really, this is one of those seasons where like who the winner is going to be for.
You kind of feel it.
Like there was a piece of me that's like, I think that there's a world, and this is why I really ended up really respecting the show, because she's my favorite. She's my favorite of the bears for sure. Is Boldface. I'm a
big Boldface guy. Yes, good taste. Yes,
huge Boldface guy. And I was like, could she like actually eke this out in the end? And I was like, but like she's not doing what Big Boy's doing. Like she just isn't. Her story is the best story of the season, but like
absolutely.
And so then there was a part of me that's like, okay, are they gonna just like give it to? Are they just gonna let her win because like she has like a sad story and it's like a story of overcoming struggle and strife, and are they just going to give it to her? And then I was gonna be like, then this show is rigged because she's clearly not the actual biggest bear. And so when she didn't win and they give it to Big Boy, spoiler alert, is our big bear. He's our inaugural big bear champion, king of Alaska's bears is Big Boy. Like the whole time, like, that's the biggest bear. His name is Big Boy for a reason. Like that's the big bear. And it felt like, okay, this is a show that's like internal systems, like honor code, right? Like this is not a rigged show. This is a show that's like playing it straight, and like it doesn't matter if it's a little straightforward and boring that this person like a Boston Rob on Redemption Island clearly is going to win. It doesn't matter. Like Big Boy earns it. Big Boy takes it. I'm thrilled for Big Boy. Loved Big Boy.
Very happy for Big Boy, who on paper, honestly, didn't sound like he was going to be doing that much for me. He's only 8 years old in comparison to some of the 15 and 16-year-old bears that we see in this season. He's best known for feasting on whale blubber. It's kind of his jam. And so I was like, okay, Big Boy, you're going to have to really show me what all the hype is about, because at only 8 years old, he's in his prime, but there were just some other season bears that I had my eyes on. But you're not wrong, Josh. The moment Big Boy takes the screen, you can already tell that he's got what it takes. He's got what it takes to win it all. There's several other points where people try to contest Big Boy's spot as a big mistake, a Big Boy mistake even. Redback. Shout out to Redback for trying to put up some type of opposition to Big Boy's run.
Redback tries to take on Big Boy by the whale carcass, yeah?
Yeah, he does, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well for Redback. Redback gets humbled very quickly. Big Boy he's got that Riz, and not that Rizzo. That's another bear.
That's a different character, different bear. Yeah, Big Boy shows up and like there's this whale, and it's a beached whale, and they're like eating the whale, and then Big Boy shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, Big Boy's here!" All right, everyone just like chill out, like he's got to get his share. And then like Redback's like, "Oh, Big Boy, like is the big boy? I'm a big man," and so like Redback tries to go into it, and Big Boy's like, "No, you are a little boy." And he just like paws him out of there, and Redback goes no further. Big Boy cements his dominance really early on, but then so only 3 people make it through episode 1. Big Boy, then Bernie, who goes AWOL, and Boldface. Boldface is from episode 1 as well, and like she has a huge story that starts in episode 2. But like the story for Big Boy is like, all right, all these other bears are salmon fishing. There's like salmon, like Salmon Creek or whatever it's called. And like it's like his adventure to get there, and he's like kind of meandering on his way, and like while you're watching it without knowing the outcome, you're like, oh well, Big Boy is getting out of it too. Why are all these episode 1 bears just like starting to drop the ball? And Big Boy's like, no, I'm just taking my time. Because I want to let them have a little bit of a shot, because it won't be fair if I just sprint up to the salmon fishing spot, because it's done once I get there.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even go straight there. We see like a lot of the older, more seasoned bears that have a lot of experience in this realm. They're camping. They're camping at the salmon spot. The salmon are jumping basically into their mouths. There's a little bit of jockeying for position. We see a lot of our up and coming stars. I've mentioned her a couple times, but Rizzo, Scarface, Denali, they all start to really stand out in that moment.
Scarface really let me down.
Yeah, I had a lot of high hopes for Scarface. I'm not gonna lie. The scar on his face, shows that he's been battle tested before, but he just really didn't step up to the plate this time. But Big Boy, he plummets to about 6th place in our rankings about this time, and I do start to question what's going to happen. But he had a very entertaining standoff with Redback, and I really want to get into it. Redback had gotten to the point where Redback was just going to pick over the scraps of the other bears. Like, I'm not going to actually do any like foraging or anything. I'm just going to let Big Boy run the place, and then I'm going to go behind and eat his leftovers off the table.
Like, he can eat the actual pizza parts of the pizza. I'll just take the crust.
I'll just take the crust. And that sounds like a sound strategy, but too much crust could really lead to some problems. And Redback suffers some severe gastrointestinal distress. Next thing you know, Redback is down for the count. And I think this was a strategic move from Big Boy. I really do.
Yeah, it's like you're just gonna carbo load, and you're not even gonna know. Reese Darby at one point like talks about did you jot down the condition that is like there's a condition within the bears that they don't know that they're eating so much that they like can't, like the way that like you go to, he's like, when you have you order a pizza and you eat the whole thing yourself and you're like, why did I do that? The bears don't have that why did I do that moment, but maybe Big Boy knows, like, you're gonna carbo load on like my scraps of beached whale, you're gonna get like the diseased parts, but you're gonna be so ravenously eating it and you're gonna be toasted as a result.
Yeah, about the toward the end of stage 2, I think is when it starts to kick in. But yeah, these bears, they really have to start to binge, and they don't have a lot of time. And so I think it's hyperphagia kicks in. Yeah, and once it kicks in, they're on autopilot. It's like they are ravenous, they're gonna eat, and there's nothing that's gonna stand in their way. And like you said, they don't get that full feeling. They don't understand how, like, when they keep eating, they don't get sluggish. They really just get empowered to eat more. And honestly, I didn't really know that I had this speed to me, but now that he's saying it out loud, I'm like, I too have that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I get in the zone, Josh, and that just gets it going.
Totally. Like there are definitely times where I'm just like, oh well, I can't stop. What if I never eat again? Right. Like I gotta get it all in now. And like that's what helps fuel these bears to get into winter mode.
Right, no doubt.
Who's the bear that's at the falls that like sits and waits at the bottom of the falls?
I believe that was
Denali. Is that Denali?
Yeah. Denali has a great strategy.
Denali, our runner-up.
Yeah, our runner-up really tries to put up the entire like okay, I got a whole separate strategy. Don't worry about me. He carried that competition. The fish catching competition is really where Denali shined and was able to catapult Denali into into stage 3 and into the top 3 in the standings. Because what you don't realize, a lot of people probably didn't realize, but Denali was not in episode 1. Very under-edited.
Yes, yeah, I think Denali, and that was probably one of the issues for me, was like, okay, when it's Denali versus Big Boy, again, like Big Boy's gonna win. Denali isn't even in the first episode. This isn't like a Tina Wesson situation where this is the bear that didn't roar. We're just gonna like I kind of ruled out anyone from who hadn't appeared in the
stage
first
episode.
2.
Yeah, I think it's safe from an editing standpoint. It's really safe. You want to show us the winner's journey, but Denali was a great foil.
Big Boy or Boldface. I really felt like, okay, it could be either one of them, but like it was really, for me, like the winner edit was pretty clear that it could only be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I was holding out hope from my girl Quad Mom. I don't know if you can see my lower third here, Quad Mom Stan. You know,
Quad Mom Stan.
I'm a big Quad Mom guy. I'm a quad guy. And so
quad god,
quad man. I'm a quad man. Yeah, and for Quad Mom, she, like, to me, she came in with a very similar story as Boldface.
Favorite. People love Quad Mom.
People love Quad Mom. She came in with 4 kids. Who would have guessed? Yeah. And she has to have the same metrics that everybody else has while raising 4 cubs.
Yeah.
Statistically, only 1/3 of these cubs will survive. It's just science and math based on bear statistics. But by the end of this, Quad Mom has managed to make it through the entire game with 2 cubs still intact. 2 of the Ninja Turtles have made it, Josh. Yeah.
It's Leonardo and Raphael, I think.
Dang. Yeah. Michelangelo. Yeah. That partying, that was going to get him every time. Being a party dude is not the best survival technique, I'll tell you that.
Michelangelo ate too much crust. And I'm surprised. Maybe it's because like Donatello didn't have enough beefiness and didn't have enough grit, because you certainly can't accuse him of not having enough ingenuity. But the Cubs, Michelangelo and Donatello, R.I.P., deceased off screen. Very, very sad moment at the end of Quad Mom's journey, because Quad Mom's journey is really defined by, like, she's raising the 4 Ninja Turtles. She's got Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Very, very cheeky Reese Darby joke. And like all of her stuff is about like, how am I going to win the Big Bear Challenge when I've got 4 people who I have to feed, I have to take care of. And then it's like her final scene or so where it's like 2 of them didn't make it. And I was really sad. I was actually really, really sad when she shows up as Duo Mom and not Quad Mom anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. Honestly, I was like, well, now she has to do a whole name and identity change, because really, if you're Quad Mom without 2 less kids, are you even Quad Mom at that point? But I think Quad Mom's journey is really mom, exactly right? Her journey cements her as Quad Mom, because again, she had probably the hardest task. This game traditionally is a lot harder for the women bears. Obviously, they have to nurse and they have to take care of these other bears, so they have an uphill battle.
Blondie, who doesn't get past the first episode, and like every bear's trying to bang Blondie, and so she's just like her whole thing is like, guys, get off me, I'm trying to win the Big Bear Challenge. And so she ends up not being able to make it through in the first stage. Chappell, you have to hit 70 in order to pass. She hit 69. Not nice.
It wasn't nice, Josh. It wasn't nice. You know, this is the patriarchy in the bear neighborhood, just really rearing its ugly hair for Blondie. She tried her best, but honestly, the call to mate was too strong. And even worse for that, the people that tried to mate with her were losing points rapidly. The show definitely penalized them, because it's not even mating season yet. Like she's not even ovulating. So get off of her, Casanova. How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night standing Casanova? Really?
Casanova. Okay, so Casanova, as his name implies, is a lover, not a fighter. And Casanova, who is in the first episode, is like very, very clearly, very early on, not going to be appearing in episode 2. Because literally The only thing Casanova cares about, while everybody else is bulking up for the winter and everyone's finding creative ways to do this and showing that they've got a lot of courage and bravery to do this, Casanova is just out here going to Bear Bangtown. You just see Casanova just like doing it. Casanova like trying to get laid, getting laid, trying to get laid again. And that's all that Casanova cares about. And I feel like it's very clear what Casanova desires and what Casanova wants. And I feel like Casanova like knows himself. I feel like Casanova is among the most like self-aware of the bears. And he's just getting like, he's getting ingenuity chopped out. He's getting grit chopped out. I mean, I understand that he's losing beefiness because there's, you know, things that are like we're calories out, calories in is skewed here for Casanova. But I feel like let Casanova bang. Just let Casanova be Casanova. Let Casanova bang. He's not trying to procreate. He's just trying to love. He's just a lover, not a fighter, Chappell.
No, this Johnny Bravo Casanova. Locker room conversation style content. We don't need this in 2024. This is not. We're leaving this behind. Casanova loses so many points. No. He's burning calories trying to hump things that don't want to be humped.
That's woke. He's
woke.
Not.
No,
that's woke agenda coming to Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. And I'm not here
ingenuity, no beefiness, lack of grit. Casanova was an instant chop, and I think I foresaw this in the preseason. He came off like a playboy, like he was going to be a young upstart, and honestly, we saw it coming, and he was punished. He really was. He gets eliminated in the first episode because he just can't keep his hands to himself.
He can't. He really can't. He really can't. You don't get a single scene of Casanova that isn't about Casanova just trying to do it. Like he's just trying to get it done.
It's oddly animalistic, and you know, and I honestly don't think we can reward that kind of behavior in 2024.
That's fair. I understand. I get it. Maybe he's like a chicken who thinks he's a rooster, right? Like is going to be like an early pre-merge vote.
Casanova. A lot of cock involved.
But I feel like Casanova, like the legends of Casanova, continue. Well, I think we'll remember like if there is a first boot of Big Bear Challenge, I think it's Casanova, and I think probably the right place for him. We got to talk about Boldface. We got to like really dig into Boldface because Boldface is the best story of the Big Bear Challenge, and I really don't think it's actually particularly close.
Yes.
So Boldface is also underreported a mom. I believe she's a tri-mom.
Yes, she has three kids.
3 cubs, if I'm not mistaken.
And she's only, I mean, it's the prime of her life, but she's only 6 years old, you know, and so 3 cubs at 6 years old. She's a single mom who works too hard, you know. She loves her kids and never stops. And we're gonna watch that throughout this. At least she's up to 3 kids right now. But tragedy will strike, and the statistics, she will be a statistic at one point. We will see that all the cubs don't make it.
Yeah, they say that only about a third of the cubs survive because of the harsh conditions. And so she has 3 cubs. And there's this great scene towards the end of stage 1, episode 1, where she just shows her grit and her ingenuity. Where it's like, all right, kids, strap on, because we got to cross the river. We got to ford the river. We got to get across. And the cubs are like, oh, but we're scared. It's just, don't be scared. Be brave. We're big bears, and we're going to show it. And they go in. They go into the river, and Boldface is like, you know, like swimming, and like checking back. Are you guys okay? And like a couple of those cubs are like, Mom, we can't do it. Help, Mom. And so Boldface, who already has to swim across as one bear, which is hard enough. She's like, all right, get on board. Climb on my back. And so the 3 bears climb onto Boldface, and she swims harder than anyone has ever swam before against a downstream current, Chappell. And she makes it across with the 3 cubs on her back, literally wearing her family on her back.
Literally.
And she climbs up, and Reese Darby, our narrator, is like, all right, folks, like, who are we kidding? Like, Boldface is the best. Boldface is the best. Ingenious, gritty.
Yeah.
You know, what she's lacking in beefiness right now, it's because she's feeding her kids first. She just makes it into stage 2. And when stage 2 starts,
this
2 cubs are down.
2 cubs are down. And honestly, there's so many layers here to unpack, because not only are 2 cubs down, but we're left with probably the cub that we thought wasn't going to make it. We're left with Raccoon.
What were the other cubs? Do we have names for the other 2?
I don't think we have the names for the other 2 anymore. I have them in my notes because they don't make it. But Raccoon does make it. He outlasts the other 2. And we're kind of shocked because Raccoon is somewhat of a wayward child. You know, it's been kind of her problem child, but they are now bonded like no other. You know, I would never see Raccoon voting out their mom in a game like this, but maybe on Blood versus Water. Maybe I just don't know. You feel like the bond between a single mom and her child would be a lot stronger. So we see how they got there. You know, the story of Boldface is really a fun one because it does show that, like, with all these obstacles in front of you, you too can do hard things. You can do hard things, you know?
Yeah. Boldface and Raccoon, the surviving cub, inseparable. Raccoon's like, Mom, don't go too far. And Boldface, all right, no, you're right. Come here. Yeah, come along.
Yeah.
Some fish. She's like, Mom, I'm scared. And she's like, it's all right. I got you. It's going to be fine. Everything's good. He's like, but what if this? She's like, no, you're okay. Yeah. And there's like some clear like separation anxiety. We don't know what happened to the cubs. We just know that they're gone. So like, who knows what he saw? What he experienced, what he survived. Like, I think you get a real sense of like survivor's guilt with Raccoon.
Yeah.
And then there's this, and like Raccoon, who's not a competitor, he's just like, you know, he's part of Boldface's story. But there is like this undercurrent of a story for Raccoon that's about like Raccoon has to learn how to become a big bear.
Yes.
So it's like Raccoon like has to like be able to live independently from Boldface, and Boldface is like, is my kid going to be able to live independently from me? And there's this great moment towards the end of the finale where she's out there, she's like going and looking for food in the water, and he's just like on the edge of the water, and a bunch of other bears, another bear mom with cubs comes along, and he's like a teen now, so it's like, you know, like in like the Hakuna Matata montage.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, they're like walking on the thing, Hakuna Matata, and he's like no longer Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Now he's Matthew Broderick. He's not quite Matthew Broderick. We never quite get to Matthew Broderick with Raccoon.
Jonathan Taylor Broderick. Yeah, exactly.
He's
right in that middle range.
JTB. And so he's there on the water, and this mama bear with its cubs that are equally sized show up. And one of the cubs like runs up to Raccoon, and Reese Darby's like, ooh, a play date. Just kidding. Bears don't have those. And so it's like the beginning of potentially a fight between Raccoon and another bear. And you would think that Raccoon historically maybe would be like, Mom, help, there's bears. Raccoon holds his ground. And it's actually Boldface who's like, I'm going to go over there and like, we're going to walk out of here. But you would imagine that on the other side of this encounter where Raccoon just stands his ground, he doesn't go anywhere, Chappell. This bear comes charging at him, and Raccoon's like, remember what mother told you.
Exactly.
Stand your ground. Hold strong. And above all, be prepared. And so he just stays there, and like Boldface shows up to just be like, this is my son, we'll leave. And when they leave, she doesn't even lose any grit points at that point, because I think Raccoon, even though he doesn't qualify, must balance that out to a degree where it's like, okay, well, that was among the bravest things that anyone has done across the Big Bear Challenge, and that's your son, so no points taken away. And I have to imagine that no one has ever been prouder of their child than Boldface of Raccoon in that moment.
Yeah, Boldface got to really watch her work and really like and her life's work really just like jump out of the skin of Raccoon, right? Like Raccoon is the spitting image of his mom. You know, like you've seen the work that Boldface has put in. We've seen Boldface fend off like wolves and other bears taking care of her kids, and so now it's time for Raccoon to walk on its own. And this is a far cry from Raccoon falling to its knees in the first episode. Like, Mom, please don't leave me. Don't leave me. I need you. And now, I mean, Raccoon was afraid, not afraid of leaves, but afraid of seagulls, you know, and he's a bear. So, you know, imagine the growth that this bear has had. I would love to see Boldface and Raccoon maybe on another reality show, maybe The Amazing Race, maybe something like that. I would love to see this duo have their own time to shine because they really were the stars. Easily the fan favorite. We see that Boldface is rewarded the MVP award.
MVP, most valued bear.
Yes, exactly.
Once she gets that award, you're kind of like, okay, so she doesn't win.
She doesn't win. I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can have them both.
No, but we don't even have to have America vote because America's vote is very obviously going to go to Boldface as the most valuable bear of the season.
I have heard rumors that Sia might be coming out of retirement as well. To talk about to give out an award for this one. It's been a while since we've seen the Sia award, but
big prize.
Big prize for these bears. But Boldface earned it. I really haven't seen that kind of growth on television in a very long time.
One of my favorite reality TV show contestants in a very long time. I would put Boldface really high on my list of if I'm including my favorite Survivor players and stuff. Boldface is a top 10 player for me. Love Boldface, huge Boldface guy.
Any other standouts from this season?
Well, I was going to ask you because I think you're a big Rizzo fan. Talk to me about Rizzo because I don't think Rizzo left a huge impression for me, but maybe I'm missing something.
Well, Rizzo was introduced with us, and obviously the crowd already loves Rizzo. Where the Reese is calling her queen. I think she gets called mother at some point, and she doesn't have any kids, so she's doing this on her own. But Rizzo really is weaponizing the patriarchy. She's coming in, and she has these bears fawning over her, but she's able to stay the course and make sure that all of this flirting is basically strategic. You know, all the bears are trying to get her attention, and she is focused. I mean, we see her in the top 3 or 4 of the bears that are doing a lot of the salmon fishing. She has a built-in rival in Blonde Ears, who I cannot tell you enough that I am sick of. I
hate Blonde Ears. I really
oh my God.
Was not feeling Blonde Ears at all.
They say, look, you have Rizzo, who was the Taylor Swift, and Blonde Ears is like the Katy Perry. It's yes, she's good, but you know, this rivalry, it's really kind of one-sided. Let Rizzo do let her do what she's doing.
If one is Taylor Swift and one is Katy Perry, I think it's really clear which bear we're rooting for.
Exactly. Look, you know, so the Rizzo Hive is out here. We're strong. We didn't win this one, but again, it was a great showing. We can easily see her coming back for any returning seasons. I think in future competition, the bears will be saying I'm going to play like Rizzo. I think that's going to be a lot of the goals for some of the women bear moving forward.
How about some of the other bears that we haven't really talked about? Do you have a personal favorite that maybe is going to be surprising? Is there anyone who's of the bear of? Because I have one. If you don't,
are you thinking Scarface? Because you know, like I said, Scarface was very disappointing to me. He let me down.
Scarface was a disappointment. Scarface has a big scar on his snout. He doesn't do any say hello to my little cub. He doesn't have any moments that are even Pacino-esque.
Bad and confessional.
At the very end, Reese Darby's Scarface was a bit of a disappointment, wasn't he, folks? And it's yes, say it on screen. Thank you. So Scarface was a letdown. I was sad because obviously Boldface and Quad Mom become the really big parental stories. But there is a bear in the first stage who doesn't quite make the cut named Parsnip.
Parsnip. Pour one out for Parsnip.
And Parsnip has a Matthew Broderick aged cub, I feel where it's young adult Simba in, I believe his name was Dudley. And there's this great scene where Dudley is stalking around trying to find eggs because the eggs are rich in proteins and going to be huge for the beefiness. And there's seagulls all over the place, and it's their eggs, and the seagulls are shit, Dudley's here. And they're all just trying to act cool so that they don't get eaten. And they're we could always lay more eggs. Don't move, Stanley. And they're just holding tight. They're holding tight.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, no noise. And like Dudley shows up and is stalking around and like making his way towards the eggs. And then he's like, nah, I'll just eat grass. He just like flops down and eats grass. One of my favorite segments of the whole show. Yeah.
And the celery grass isn't a lot of calories. And I think that's where Parsnip really goes wrong. It's just that Parsnip has decided, okay, let's go for clams. Let's go for let's try to dig some eggs. You know, she's really kind of just like foraging. They call her Mama Parsnip because she is 8 years old, but she has this like a grown ass kid. She does a little twerking in the woods. You know, we see Parsnip moving around. She has some fun moments, but really just doesn't really pull the weight. And I think
with a name
Dudley
like Parsnip versus Big Boy versus Boldface, like Parsnip's not gonna fly. And I love a Parsnip, but not gonna fly.
Parsnip needed to make 70 points to move on to round 2. And I believe she ended round 1 with an embarrassing 61 points. One of the lowest points, only next to your boy Casanova. It wasn't a great showing for Parsnip, but I think for one episode, you know, decent television. I could definitely see them bringing her back in maybe another capacity.
I was really getting ready for like Dudley to be like a big character. And I was disappointed that it meant, because like when they're eliminated from the competition, it's not like they're like, you know, like they're like eliminating them. But once they're no longer in the running, they're just like not featured on the show anymore. I feel like maybe there's like a cameo here or there from like one of the deleted bears, but like by and large, like, no, dudes, you failed stage 1. You do not get to go on to stage 2. So this is a harsh show, you know, in a harsh world.
Well, and we get after every elimination, we do get to eulogize each of our bears. I really love that we get the like fallen comrades. We get that like the montage. Their best moments. We really see like the black and white montage of each bear going out and kind of showing what made them the stars that they were of this season. Each of them stars in their own way, but there could only be one winner. And, you know, like we said, from jump, it was very clear it was going to be Big Boy. He had a few obstacles to get over. Denali, I'm looking at you. Redback, great showing for the short time that you had it. But honestly, this was Big Boy's game to lose from jump.
Yeah. Okay, so we're recording this one live. We've got some feedback that we can bring into the chat now. This was a question. We've got some questions. This was from Tina. Tina wrote in and said, wait, the show is about bears?
You betcha, Tina. You betcha. This story is not only about bears. This is about Alaskan brown bears, okay? The biggest and baddest bears that we've ever had on TV. I think this is, if I had to just pick a bear cast, I think this is my favorite cast of bears since maybe the 3 little ones. I think those were a great showing, but this cast here is giving them a run for their money. Yeah.
Okay, this question is coming from Kevin. Kevin asks, real bears? Not people in bear suits?
Actual bears, yes. Kevin, these are bears. These are animals that eat fish, they forage, they fight. We see a lot of bear combat in this, but we also see the softer side of bears. And I really do commend Peacock on trying to show another side of bears that people really aren't familiar with.
Yeah. Final question we've got. Oh, it's not a question, it's a comment from Reynolds. Give me 4 hours and I'll be done.
Preach. Good decisions from Reynolds.
Preach, Reynolds. I think even if you made it this far and you heard us talking about the Bears, maybe now you really do want to watch it yourself. You should.
You should.
It's very fun. It's like well told and dramatic and good.
Get into it. I think the narration is funny. I think that, you know, the big moments are big moments. And then, I think that if you're not by the end of this yelling at your screen, go Big Boy, go. What are you doing? Go Big Boy, what you gonna do? That was me. I was yelling at the screen. I was all in on the Big Boy win. I mean, whew, the tears. There were tears. I can't lie, there were tears.
I was really happy. Just so you know that Big Boy, a really delightful person off camera. I spoke with Big Boy again for the winner press. Again, it is currently being vetted by Peacock, so I apologize that it may take some time before we're able to release the Big Boy interview. But I'm happy to report that Big Boy is everything you want Big Boy to be. Really great, deserving winner. What do we want from a second season of the Hungry Games, Chappell? Because, of course, as with anything, there's room to improve. to iterate upon what happened the first go around. So like, what would you change or take away or add to the Big Bear Challenge?
Well, I know we've talked about returnees a couple of times, but I don't know. A part of me would really like to see a new crop of bears come in. You know, let's really establish some new players before we go into an all-star season. Let's wait 5 or 6 seasons and then cast our all-stars so we have a bigger bank of bears to go to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, right now I do love these fairies, but I don't want to oversaturate. I feel like there's a lot of bears in the world, and then we can really just like cast a wide net and bring different bear stories and tell different bear stories for next season. You know, maybe some diversity in the bears, polar bears, other bears, you know, there are different types of bears as well. So
Chappell, you know, there's a show on Netflix that you could watch if you're interested in polar bears.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Lost.
Oh, is it a bear challenge? Is it a reality competition?
I'm not going to spoil it for you. You're going to have to watch and find out for yourself.
Oh man, there's a lot of bears though. This is a bear show. Like, you're telling me the truth that this show is about polar bears. The show
I wouldn't say it's about polar bears, but there's definitely polar bears for sure.
Multiple polar bears.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a slight spoiler, but if that's gonna do it.
I mean, if I come into episode 1 and I see polar bears, I might stick around. You might have my attention, Josh. I might click episode 1 just to see the polar bears, though.
Okay.
As long as the bears are there, I'm there. How about that? As long as there's polar bears, I'm in.
Watch that first episode, and maybe we could talk about it.
Okay, we'll think about the polar bears.
Just one. There's a polar bear. There's a polar bear in the first episode.
Just one.
And multiple polar bears in the series.
Okay, we might have to think about it because I'm very pro bear right now. I recently watched The Bear.
Yeah.
I've now seen These Bears, and so I don't know. You tell me there's some bears in Lost, I might.
Who from the Bear cast would win the Hungry Games? Who would score highest on the big system?
So who's our big boy? Is that what you're saying? Who's our big boy? Actually, now that I think about it, the big system for Big Boy's name to be Big Boy.
A bit of a spoiler.
It's giving rigged. It's giving you name.
Don't you think they name it after the fact? Maybe like
it's like the Big Boy rules. You know, like
like Big Boy pioneered the game, and so So
okay. But when it comes to the bear, like, is Carmi our big boy? Is that it's like a little on the nose, don't you think? On the snout.
It is a little. Okay, for Hunger Games season 2, what about what if we do different animals? Is that interesting? Like, because there's like a wolf that shows up.
A wolf. I think there was a couple, maybe. There might have been 2 wolves, you know, and or maybe it's the same wolf that doubled back. I think it might have been that same wolf. He's a wily guy.
If season 2 is the Hungry Games Alaska's Wild Wolf Challenge, are you in?
I might have to check that out. Wolves move in packs a lot of times. Sometimes there's lone wolves. There's a lot of wolf content to play with there. I would love to see it.
Yeah, the wild system. What would that look like?
I don't know.
I don't have anything actually.
I got nothing.
Ingenuity is still there.
Ingenuity's got to be there. It's going to be a strong one every time.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it. You know, the big system really did work as like kind of our outwit, outplay, outlast. You know, like each of the categories, really judging them. What do you think about this scoring system, though? Could you imagine putting this scoring system maybe toward a show like Survivor, where it's like by the end of it, people are actually giving you points for each of those categories: outwit, outplay, and outlast.
Interesting. And that would determine who the winner is?
Yeah, we do some scoring, you know, and then once we tally up the scores, then it's a scientific method at that point. At that point, we have the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The winner is the winner.
So what if you do the outwit, outplay, outlast system, the out of office reply, and you whoever gets to the end, final 3, whoever scored the highest on the outwit, outplay, outlast system gets a vote.
Oh, okay. Just like an extra vote.
Yeah.
Like an addition. Okay. I kind of like vote.
That. Additional vote. So it's like, okay. Yeah. It's like, okay, you've objectively scored these points. you have, I mean, objectively, because like, you get Reese Darby in, and Reese Darby is watching like the monitors, the live feeds the whole time and scores.
Impartial judging. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see that. We break it down into 3 tribes: the beefy tribe, the ingenuity tribe, the gritty tribe. Okay. All right. I think you're onto something.
I do think Survivor Bears versus Bears would be something to watch.
Brown bears, black bears, polar bears. Yeah. I think we're onto something. This might be the move.
What else do you got on Hungry Games? Anything? What a fun time.
It was a fun time. We saw a lot. I learned a lot. I think that if you are a bear enthusiast, or if you're mildly interested in bears, you should definitely check this out, because they're going to teach you a lot about bears, their mating habits, their eating habits, the way, it's like, in a way, I think you really did. When you brought up Nat Geo, I think that's really what we're looking at here. It's like, this was like a bear documentary with some cool commentary over it. Yeah. And so, if you want to watch that kind of stuff, you like animals, I think this is cool, and I can really see them doing this for other animals, like you talked about. Shark Week is coming up, I'm sure. When Shark Week comes up,
Kevin suggested this in the chat. Sharks.
Yeah, why not, instead of just giving us normal Shark Week shenanigans, spice it up. Let's do a Shark Week competition, Shark Week Amazing Race, Shark Week Hungry Games. The sharks are very hungry from what I can tell. And so I'm sure there's a lot to go there. They could really repeat this like a billion times with a billion different species of animals. This show could go on forever.
Does the shark season jump the shark for the Hungry Games, though? I guess is the question. Like, is that just too far? And also, like, filming them, I feel like is scary. Like, I don't think you're going to get the same footage that you're going to get from like land-dwelling animals.
Right, and the soundtrack will be a lot more menacing. We really got like the fun Netflix soundtrack over these. But once you go to sharks, it really gets to like no. Like it gets really like dark. Because I like the fun music. There were several times, I think, when Rizzo shows up, they like enter like the hot girl music from Too Hot to Handle. I was like, okay, but
they do call Reese Darby, I think, makes the same joke 3 times. He calls it F Bear Island.
I mean,
honestly, I laughed every time. Every time.
With Casanova there, how could you not call it F Bear Island? Like, really?
Oh, man. All right, well, that's the Hungry Games. All 3 episodes on Peacock. This podcast not sponsored by Peacock, sponsored by Chappell's enthusiasm and my enthusiasm for the Hunger Games, Alaska's Big Bear Challenge. For me, certainly lived up to the hype. Had a great time watching it. So I hope you all did as well, or will have a great time watching it if you choose to watch it, and hope you enjoyed the podcast as well. Make sure you're subscribed to all the things on RHAP. Go to robhasawebsite.com/subscribe to see all of the stuff. Chappell, what do you got going on? You're in Westeros. Bear Island exists on Westeros, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, if they could just take some these bears and put them on Bear Island, maybe that would be a good themed
House of the Bears
season.
Yeah, we need some bears in the House of the Dragon right now. You and Mari killing it on the Westeros Kickback.
Thank you so much. Yeah, on recapkickback.com, my podcast, Recap Kickback, we're doing the Westeros Kickback every week, dropping recaps of House of the Dragon. Mari is a pro, and so I tap her to come on every week to tell me what is going on this amazing show. We're having a great time. We're about halfway through the season now, and so come check us out, listen to our past coverage, get caught up, and then tune in, because every week we're bringing more House of the Dragon coverage to Recap Kickback. Subscribe, recapkickback.com/subscribe, and go to YouTube page and send us a subscribe there. Click like on all the videos, all that good stuff, and support Recap Kickback. Also, we just dropped a review of Supercell on Netflix.
Is that fun?
It's amazing. It's fun. It's amazing. And we talked about it. I had the podcast duo from the Was It Good Though podcast. They came on and gave their expertise. They watched the season twice. Okay. And so we really talked about the premiere, but then we kind of get into like a little spoilery section at the end, but we give a good little warning. We won't spoil it too much for anybody who hasn't seen it, but check that out. That should be up on our YouTube page as well. And then here on RHAP, I'm still talking about Below Deck live on YouTube with Sasha every Wednesday. And then on the Nothing But Netflix podcast that I co-host with Rob Sister, we're talking about Receiver next week with our special guest, your fave, Alexander Chester. I know you're excited for that. Yeah, you love Alexander Chester. He's your guy.
Yeah.
Favorite.
My boy. Yeah.
Big Chester guy you are.
A big boy.
Yeah, you're a big boy. Big boy. What about you, Josh?
We got a lot going on here on RHAP on the scripted side of things. As mentioned, House of the Dragon, it is happening. So there's lots of House of the Dragon coverage in addition to Chappell and Mari doing it on the Kickback. Taryn and Grace are covering the show as well. This week, I believe, Mari is joining Taryn and Grace, and they're doing a House of the Dragon book club. So big spoilery deep dive. I think the report is like a chunky 2-hour podcast about this season of House of the Dragon through 4 episodes with spoiler context from the book. So if you're looking forward to some of that coverage, it's coming your way soon. We also have the Tastemakers, lots of really fun stuff. We talked this week about Industry, an HBO show that is coming back after House of the Dragon for its 3rd season. And people probably like, wait, I don't even know that show exists, let alone a 3rd season. And it's going to have like the premiere Sunday night spot. So we talked about that a little bit to give you some heads up that maybe you want to go and check out Industry. Industry would be Casanova's favorite show.
Oh,
lots going on for Casanova and the Casanova types out there. If you want to check out Industry.
I'm late to the party, it seems.
On TV for real this week, Sasha was out, so Mike Bloom spoke with Corey Wertenberger, who's a huge Lost fan, Chappell. And so they talked about Lost because it's on Netflix, which is your territory, and on you. If you want to cover it, it's right there on Netflix, Chappell.
It is.
If you wanted to talk about it,
it is right there.
At any point in time.
So when I go listen to this TV for Real podcast, because
no, you shouldn't. It's spoilery. It's spoilery.
Oh,
don't listen to the TV for Real podcast this week unless you're a Lost fan. Spoilery.
Wait a minute. Now you're taking my favorite podcast away from me. Does he talk about the polar bears? Yes or no?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I was going to be on the podcast myself. The tummy hurt, so I couldn't.
That redback.
I ate that bad whale meat, so I couldn't make it on. So I'm looking forward to listening to that. And then this weekend, speaking of bears, on the weekend program with myself and the great Antonio Mazzaro, we are going to close out our coverage of the Bears season 3. We're going to talk about it in full spoilerific detail, Chappell. So that's what's going on.
I cannot wait.
On We Know Scripted TV, robhasawebsite.com/scripted. So that's what's up. Next year, we will return, hopefully, for the Hungry Games Season 2 recap. I guess one of my hopes is that it'll go weekly. I would love to be able to talk about a weekly Hungry Games would be fun. I think it'd be good.
Could you see the Hungry Games Season 2 maybe going to, like, I don't know, the Australian outback? Maybe we could get like kangaroos or something like that. Wombats, koalas are bears. They're in Australia, right? I think we might have something. Maybe move it to Australia, maybe Africa. Maybe
check around. I think let's go around the world. There's lots of hungry animals that could compete in the Hungry Games, and I think that would make for a really compelling all-star season in which all of the all-star various animals just end up eating each other. Unfortunately,
I think so.
That's a good idea, actually.
My money's on the panda bear from China.
But, I think so. I think panda bear, skadoosh, I think has a pretty good chance of making it to the top. That's the Hungry Games. Hope you all had a fun time listening. Go check it out, and that's it. Goodbye, or as they say in the Hungry Games,